Basement, you can install this. If you want floor mount, wall mount, everything we've designed is for the installer in mind to give them the most amount of flexibility.
The transfer switching can be done at the meter base without you having to modify any internal house wiring. I think that's going to be the preferable way to do it. And of course, for you homeowners out there, it means less disruption, right? You're not going to have to cut up your drywall and pulling wires from this place to that. A lot of the homeowner's experience is going to be controlling things through the app. So perhaps we can take a look at that in more detail.
The smarter way to go solar.
Hi everyone, Joe Ordia here for Solar Surge. Today we're coming to you from Lunar Energy headquarters here in Mountain View, California. This afternoon I'm joined by Kunal Girotra, CEO and founder of Lunar Energy, and we're going to be learning all about the Lunar Energy solar storage and energy management system. So Kunal, it's great to meet you. Thanks for having us out this afternoon.
Well, thank you for coming over, Joe. Pleasure to meet you as well.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, it's been a really exciting looking at all the innovation that's been happening in the solar space. And really, it's not just the solar space anymore. It's evolving from solar into solar and battery storage, and then all the intelligent ways that you can manage how that energy gets used within the home. So we're standing here in your showroom here where we've got a number of different components set up, inverter, batteries. Please kind of just introduce the audience to what are we looking at here and what are we going to be demonstrating today?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Kunal Girotra, founder CEO of Lunar Energy. Lunar is a home electrification company that was founded in August of 2020, and our mission is to make every home in America an all-electric home. And our vision is that every home should have a distributed personal power plant with solar storage, load control, charging, all provided by one company, which is easy to install, easy to use, saves homeowners on their electricity bills, keeps them with 24/7 power at all times, and has the most outage-proof product. And in addition, if the grid is stressed, we want to be the ones to lend the energy from the home to the grid and also pay the homeowner for sharing the energy. So Lunar builds the entire hardware and software ecosystem to make that happen. So how do we do that? As you rightly said, welcome to our showroom. What you're looking at here is this showroom here represents a real home. This side of the showroom is represents the outside of the house, and where you have all the product and the equipment. And this side of the showroom, we have quite a few loads representing a real home. Before we begin, what you're seeing here is a live operating system. There's actual solar panels on the real roof of the building. And then this is a live home battery system. This is all grid connected, and we can also turn off the grid to simulate a grid outage. So I can start by describing what the product is and how our vision of a full ecosystem of home electrification has started with the Lunar product. What you're looking at here is the star of the show, which is the Lunar system. What this is a DC coupled home battery system. And what you're looking at here is modular 5 kilowatt hour battery blocks connected with a powerful 10 kilowatt inverter. We call this the beauty and the beast. The reason it's that is because it's aesthetically pleasing. You'll see there are no ugly buttons to turn on, turn off. It's got a nice, elegant and aesthetic appeal, which we think is important for homeowners because they're making a large investment, and this is going to be on the side of the house for a long time.
Sure.
We didn't want this to look like an ugly refrigerator or I should say ugly HVAC systems out in the market. So aesthetics has been a big important, and we call our products brilliantly designed for a reason. And in addition to the aesthetics, we wanted to make the most powerful and sort of resilient home battery system. Essentially, we're building this product to protect people from extreme weather. So this product itself needs to be versatile and be ready to face all kinds of situations. What do I mean by that? This is a flood-resistant product, which means you can submerge it in 1 meter of water and the product will still keep running. So it's completely flood-proof. So if you're in hurricane counties in Florida or Texas or anywhere else, you don't have to worry about actually having it submerged in water or your basement being flooded. This is a very versatile product, so it can be wall mounted like it is right now, or it can be floor mounted. So that's very advantageous. Many homeowners don't like things on the floor, if it's especially in their garage. Many a times in the outside of the home, you have gravel at the bottom, so you really can't put things on the floor. So you end up putting these concrete slabs or pouring concrete, which is very expensive. So we wanted to give installers a lot of options to put it either on the floor or mounted on the wall. We've, at Lunar, we always say we have two kinds of customers. We have the installer, whom we keep in mind for making it super easy to install so they can get in and get out of a home very quickly. And then for the consumer, for whom we want it to look nice, but also have a very engaging app. So I'll go through both kind of customers and how we've actually tailored the product for both of them to make sure each of those customers is really happy with our offering as a whole. So, but to take a step back, this is a DC coupled product, meaning that the battery and the solar have the same, they meet at the same point in the inverter. So there's no separate solar inverter, there's no separate battery inverter. There's
So you've got a DC coupled hybrid inverter.
DC coupled hybrid
This
inverter.
inverter is doing the inverter function both for the solar array and for the battery.
That is correct. Exactly right.
And then each of these is a 5 kilowatt hour battery storage module?
That is correct. Each of these is a 5 kilowatt hour battery module. The largest component weight is about 90 pounds. So two people can easily lift it up. And the feedback from installers has been great. There's lots of other competitive products with 300 to 450 pounds. There's OSHA regulations are being impacted there. There's lots of complaints of fatigue and injury by installers. So the installers who install our product love it in comparison because they're like, wow, this is actually really easy. So that's one. The other thing is, with heavy products, it's really hard to install them in tight spaces. And oftentimes you have the basement or a sloping roof or very difficult installation conditions. And consistently we've heard from the market that this product alleviates that need. So they actually like installing it because now they can install it in all these difficult places where they had ruled out the big monolith batteries. So we at Lunar believe that modularity has a strong role to play because ultimately you want more and more installers to like and refer this product. And we have proven that modularity is a good asset for retaining and motivating installers to kind of work with you. The other benefit of our modular product is that you can stack it. The vertical stacking is very beneficial because, as you might know, Joe, there's lots of fire code rules that want you to have home batteries within 3 feet of doors and windows. So at least 3 feet away from doors and windows. So imagine if you're stacking all the battery modules horizontally, which is what majority of the market does, you suddenly run out of space for the second and the third batteries.
Right.
So Lunar's focus on the vertical stacking has really won a lot of fans in the installer community because they're like, wow, I can just go vertical. Because vertical space is not a premium, the horizontal space is.
Absolutely. No, well, I was going to say, that what we've seen over the past couple of years, this modular stackable architecture has become more popular for exactly the reasons that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Number one, it reduces the amount of technicians that you need to manage the battery on site. Also, it eliminates the need for special lift equipment, and it allows you to operate in tight spaces like basements, for example. Especially in older homes, they're just not built as large. You're not going to be able to maneuver down there with a specialized lift dolly or with a forklift or something like that.
Totally. Yeah.
So we definitely see that the several advantages to the modular stackable architecture. But really, everything starts with solar, right? Everything starts with solar, getting solar input into the unit here so that your electrified home of the future is being powered by clean, renewable energy that you're harvesting from your own rooftop. So maybe let's start there. Can you tell us about what do you do on the DC side on the solar array, and then how does that feed into the rest of the system?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I go into that, I just wanted to say when Lunar started the company, our focus was that we saw a lot of products in the market which had an inverter from a third company and a battery from a second company and a panel from a fourth company, rapid shutdown from someone else. There were all these discrete components that installers had to go and play around with, and none of them talked to each other, none of them worked. And while it seemed that these were cost effective from a price point of view for the installer, but it actually ended them hurting their reputation and their business because none of these discrete components worked. Why am I saying that? Is because when we started the company, we were like, we have to make things really plug and play and simple for the installer. So on the solar side, as you probably know, you need to obviously connect all the panels in either series parallel. What are the functions you need to do? Make sure that you connect all the panels to get the most amount of energy. And then you also have the rapid shutdown ruling, where you have to shut off the panel voltage in a certain amount of time when somebody turns the disconnect off. So when you want to combine all those impacts, we decided to actually, let me take a step here and show you. We felt that going the module level power electronics direction was the right thing, and we've engineered the Lunar Maximizer. This Lunar Maximizer is a DC-DC converter that actually sits behind every solar panel, and it has integrated rapid shutdown. It has integrated sensing, integrated current sensing, and maximum power point tracking. And it maintains the most amount of energy you can get out of every panel. And so, and not to mention the benefit to the installer, the benefit to the consumer is that they get more energy, about 2 to 5%, sometimes even 2 to 10%, depending on what plane it is. And if you calculate the dollars coming out of it, it is pretty substantial. So the consumer side, the benefit is more energy per panel. On the installer side, the benefit is no third-party rapid shutdown devices. So no communication issues, no losses, no spurious arc faults, etc. And the second benefit is that because these are all connected in series, you can suddenly now have very simple stringing on the roof. And you don't have to worry about connecting them in series parallel that you had to do in string inverters. The number of home runs is limited. The simplicity is there. If there are last minute changes in homes, which happen all the time because homeowners are like, hey, I want 2 panels here. I don't like the panels here. You can just blindly string them across different planes and not worrying about different planes, different azimuths. The simplicity of installation is really what Lunar's focused on. So you'll see one theme from us coming out more and more is simplicity of installation and delight and performance for the consumers. Those are the 2 North Stars we've had since the founding of the business.
Yeah, that's definitely coming out just in the short time we've been talking on this video, right?
Yeah.
Is that you've really considered both the installer and the end user as your customer, right? The installer has to be able to manage the installation efficiently in terms of time on site, in terms of specialized equipment that might be needed on site.
Our philosophy has always been, BYOP, bring your own panels, because we build everything downstream of the panel. So all the power electronics on the roof, power electronics on the inverter, batteries, the grid interface is all Lunar's. But we only request the installers to choose their own racking and choose their own solar panels. So we wanted to make sure that the maximizers work with all kinds of panels.
Excellent, excellent. And for those of you who may not be as familiar with what we're talking about here, using the DC maximized or a DC optimized type of architecture means that you can take advantage of the simplicity of wiring of the old string inverters, but you're going to get the performance benefits in terms of shade mitigation as well as in terms of rapid shutdown compliance that you might get with like a microinverter type solution, but without necessarily incurring the clipping loss that might come along with a microinverter solution if you have too much of an AC-DC size mismatch.
Exactly. Well, you said it better than I could. Yeah, that's great.
So Kunal, if you would, please give me a rundown on the technical specs of the unit here. I guess let's start with the inverter here at the top. So what are we looking at in terms of power capacity?
Yeah, so this is a 9.6 kilowatt inverter.
Okay.
It goes on a 50 amp breaker, and it has a surge capacity of 15 kilowatts for about 10 seconds.
Okay.
And then a continuous max power of 9.6 kilowatts.
So 9.6 continuous output, 15 kilowatt surge output for 10 seconds.
Yep.
Now, what about as far as PV input? How much PV could we connect to a single stack?
Great question. So we recommend you could go anywhere up to from 12 to even up to 15 kilowatts of PV DC, especially if the PV is east-west facing, you can go up to 15 kilowatts. If a typical south-southwest facing plane, then you could go up to 120% DC ratio to get up to 12 kilowatts.
That makes sense.
And there are 3 strings of PV, so you could essentially string them. The max string length is 20, but you could also use 3 strings, and they all come very seamlessly into the inverter via our junction box.
Great.
Yeah.
And of course, it's high voltage DC input, so you can take advantage of that more efficient high voltage DC to DC solar to battery charging.
That is absolutely right. I think the fact that, so to your point, Lunar saw when we built the company, we saw the writing on the wall that solar alone those days are numbered. So the world is going to move to a solar storage full home electrification. So our architecture was designed from the get-go to be a solar storage product. And we knew that there are 75 million homes in the US, 5 million have solar, the rest don't have solar. So, and the rest, when they get solar, they would get a battery because utilities are changing tariffs, energy prices are rising, the grid is unstable. Unstable, you know all that. I don't need to tell you that. So from that perspective, we felt the DC coupled architecture is the right way to go. Now, there's also sometimes confusion that because it's a DC coupled architecture, we cannot work with an AC coupled system. That's not true. So if a home does have existing solar, you could absolutely use the battery stack and you would not use the maximizers. Okay. And we could AC couple this product with existing solar. Okay. But the main goal is for homes that don't have solar or want to add new solar. There's a growing demand these days of homes who've had solar 10 years ago, have had a small amount of solar. Now they love saving energy from solar. They want to add more solar. They can't do that anymore without a battery. So our product is perfect for that, where you could actually add some additional solar and storage. So efficiency and simplicity, fewer boxes on the wall, plug and play installation are some of the things that we've actually really focused on.
Great, yeah. Great. So really AC and DC coupling capable. AC coupled retrofit if the home already has solar.
Correct.
And then of course you can take advantage of that more higher efficiency DC coupling for a new installation or to expand it on the existing installation.
Yes, yeah. Okay. And to complete the specs here, as I mentioned, each of the battery blocks it's a 5 kilowatt hour product, and it has its own DC-DC converter as well. Okay. So each battery goes from about 50 volts to 200 volts. And you need 2 of these blocks to make a 400 volt DC bus, which is what the solar meets at. Okay. So essentially you need 2 blocks, a 10 kilowatt hour system to make a lunar system work. And then you can stack them to 3 blocks to make it 15 or 4 to make it 20. By the end of the year, we're launching a 25 and 30 under one inverter, which is going to make this the only product to my knowledge, and I may be wrong, because there's so many competitors coming every day, we could be offering a 30 kilowatt hour tower behind one inverter. Again, vertical space, very convenient, no horizontal space, enough energy to take an average home and give them whole home backup.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I think that pretty much covers the main battery stack then. In terms of additional equipment, I understand that you have an intelligent load control or what you call the bridge.
Yeah, so behind you, Joe, is what we're calling is the Lunar Bridge. And the reason we call it as the bridge is because this is the bridge between the home and the utility. That's why we wanted to call it the Lunar Bridge. And what is it? It's a, I can open it now. It's a multi-use circuit breaker panel. So it has multiple functions. One is, of course, you can see a lot of circuit breakers here. So it has, 20 slots with 40 circuits if you quad them up. So that way installers don't need an extra sub panel to put either the lunar system breaker or any new charger breaker, or if they want to relocate loads, they can use this as the relocation panel. Most times, I would say almost 100% of solar storage installations require you to put the breaker in some sub-panel or the other. It's very rare to put the breaker in the existing panel of the home because homes are old, breaker panels are full, people have sub-panels all over. So our feedback from installation community is that you always need some sub-panel. And they love the fact that our bridge already has breaker slots. And they can put whatever breaker they want. So that's a plus. The second plus is, as you probably know, when the utility power goes out, you can't just feed solar and battery power into the grid because there could be a line worker working. Correct. So you need some sort of a relay or a transfer switch mechanism. And we have an inbuilt sort of relay which opens up the moment the grid loses power. And then solar and lunar become the microgrid of the home. So that capability is also inside this breaker, inside this sort of a lunar bridge. It also does all the metering for the grid. It's always watching the grid, because the moment the grid voltage or frequency sags or rises, it takes the home off grid. And that's why you'll see in a bit when we do the demo, our backup is seamless. The customer doesn't even realize that home is backed up. And the reason for that is we react instantaneously to any grid fluctuations. And that's the secret special sauce we have on our firmware side. So to summarize, the bridge it's a circuit breaker panel. It has a integrated relay inside it. You can also put a main breaker in here for various situations of installation. You may want to put a main breaker. It measures the grid instantaneously. And then more importantly, which we haven't covered yet, actually before I go into the smart breakers, which is the next thing I want to talk about, it also has lugs where you can connect. If you really had a sort of a partial home backup situation where you could not back up everything in the house, you could connect your non-backup panel right into the bridge here. So you could have a separate sub panel with the non-backup lugs directly connected here. If you really wanted to extend this to add more backup loads, you could add a backup panel here. So it's a really versatile product, and installers love how compact we've made it while still giving them enough space to move their hands around and actually install it, and also takes care of non-backup, backup situations. It's just the feedback on this product has been very positive, and I'm really glad to have that. And the final thing, which I haven't shared yet, is that this bridge is capable of installing smart breakers, which I'm going to demonstrate to you, where our philosophy on sort of on load control is that you can either give homeowners a complete smart panel to control every single breaker of their home, which is good for some use cases, but it's expensive and it's a big overhaul of their home. Or you could focus on the 4 or 5 energy-hungry loads in any home, which happen to be your HVAC, your EV charger, your oven, your dryer, your pool pump if you have one. So our vision was, what if you had generation, storage, and control, such that with every installation, an installer had 4 to 5 smart breakers in their truck, and they put it on any breaker that the homeowner feels they want to shed in an outage. They want the ability to shed in an outage. So, we can go into the detail of load control at some point, but right now I can share that this is a Eaton smart breaker. It's a 2-pole 60 amp breaker. They're coming up with 60, 50, 40 amp sizes. So while we use an Eaton product and they make a great smart breaker right now, this is AFCI, GFCI capable as well. It's fairly inexpensive compared to a full smart panel redo. More importantly, the installer who's buying and commissioning and installing a Lunar product can do all the commissioning and sort of provisioning of these breakers through our award-winning installation app. Like, they don't have to actually go and use a third-party app or some other method. They could just use the Lunar app. As they commission the Lunar system and the maximizers, they can also commission the smart breakers. And we worked very closely with Eaton for a very tight software integrated experience. Because our vision was installers should be in and out the same day, hopefully in half a day, by installing and commissioning all of this.
Absolutely, and I think that's a big issue for installers, is as these systems become more robust and more complex, helping the installer manage and mitigate that risk as much as possible so that they can stay on schedule, on budget, on track with their resource allocation and stay profitable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, a couple of questions about how the bridge works here. So you said you have dedicated lugs for non-backup loads, if there's loads that you specifically would like to shed so as not to drain the battery during a power outage. But the default configuration, if I'm understanding correctly, is the default configuration for whole house backup and then with intelligent control on the heaviest loads.
That is exactly right. I think my vision and my encouragement to all installers is like, this system is smart enough and capable. You can back up the whole home. And initially, without smart breakers, you had to educate homeowners that whole home backup means that it will back up your whole home, but in an outage, as a homeowner, you still need to manage your energy and power consumption.
Correct.
With the automatic intelligent load control, now you can actually tell the homeowner, like, you are getting whole home backup, or we're giving you added intelligence that if you have an outage and if you're, say, not at home, or even if you're at home, because the backup is so seamless, many customers don't even know there's an outage, and they could be having an automated timer pool pump that could drain their entire battery, or they could have an EV charging sequence set up that could actually drain the entire battery again. So these load control devices allow us to, and I'll demonstrate that to you in a second, they allow the homeowner or the installer to set certain rules around when these loads are operated. So you could basically make rules and say, hey, when an outage happens, never turn these loads on. You could put that as a rule. You could also make a rule saying, hey, if the battery state of charge goes below 60%, please turn off these loads. So you can now go and see the fun homeowners can have with this by putting all sorts of rules and say, if the draw of this product is so much, then turn it off. So that's what we wanted to give homeowners, but we wanted to do it in a very simple manner. And at some point we were in a direction to make our own load control products, but when Eaton came along and said they had a 2-pole smart battery version with less than 5 seconds of latency, we were like, this is the holy grail product we've all been looking for. And we have an Eaton bus bar, so this works right in. And you might wonder, what if the load is far away from the bridge? Can it still work, or does it have to be in the bridge? The answer is it can work if it's up to 50 feet away from the bridge, because it needs to communicate to the Wi-Fi in the bridge.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about the meter socket controller, because once we have the meter socket adapter, then this bridge goes away, and then you need still a box to put this. You can put this in any sub panel and still be 100 feet away from the meter socket controller.
Okay, yeah, so that's going to be an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
But with the bridge that we're looking at now, would this replace the main load center in most cases, or would this be installed above the main load center and only the circuits that needed to be intelligently controlled would be relocated?
I think that's a great question. I would say it depends in which jurisdiction you are. In the West Coast, especially in California, as you probably know, that most of the homes in California area have a meter main combo, where the meter and the main panel are all one box. So in that, you do end up relocating pretty much all your loads into a separate panel, in which case the bridge becomes that panel where you end up relocating all the loads over here. And then if you still need some more, then you'll end up putting a small sub panel to complete that. If you go to the East Coast, where most of the homes have a separate meter and main panel, in those cases, you don't need to relocate every load in here. In those cases, you will relocate only the ones that you want to do the smart breaker in the bridge. And even those, if the existing panel happens to be an Eaton panel, and you can just swap the what I call dumb breakers and put the smart breakers in the existing panel. So everything about Lunar you'll see is a lot of flexibility and versatility. Every home is a snowflake, right? Homes are different. They have different construction types, different service ratings, different wall types, different roof types. Installers have so many challenges when they go to all different kinds of homes. So our job at Lunar was to give them the most tools in their toolkit to make sure that they're able to serve the wide range of homes. And so that's what this bridge does. If you have a meter main panel, great, you can relocate all the loads. If you have a separate meter main, great, you can actually relocate only the Eaton breakers. If you have a 400 amp service, great, we have Rogowski coils. which you can put on the 400 amp main so that you can actually monitor the entire home consumption. So we literally, if you have, basement, you can install this. If you want floor mount, wall mount, everything we've designed is for the installer in mind to give them the most amount of flexibility. And that's our North Star. We're going to continue to innovate with various products. We have an exciting roadmap ahead to do both, delight our consumers with high performance and ease and software, and delight our installers with simplicity and more features and more applicability for homes.
So you make a good point, though, which is that every home is unique.
Yeah.
And part of the challenge on the installation side of that is, again, being able to manage that complexity without causing cost overruns, schedule overruns, having to run the crew back to the supply house to buy a special breaker because the brand that they thought was on the truck wasn't in the truck. So I know this is one configuration here, using the bridge with the integrated Wi-Fi and the smart breakers. Now, if instead of using the bridge and relocating loads, you instead want it to use the meter collar adapter and sort of having to avoid more of touching the internal house wiring, how would that work?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think as you may recall, we said one of the functions of the bridge is to have a relay that turns open when the grid loses power.
Transfer switch.
Transfer switch, essentially. So now the question is, well, do you need a separate box for that, or can you actually disconnect at the main source when the power comes in the home? Which is where we can talk about the meter socket adapter, which has now become a popular piece of hardware in solar and storage installations in areas where the utility allows the use of such product. So should we move there now?
Yeah, great. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so what are we looking at here at the meter socket adapter?
So what you're looking at here is a simple meter that every home in America has, and many homes now have a smart meter. California has 99% of homes with smart meter. The rest of the country is following suit. So as I mentioned earlier, what you want to do for a solar storage product is disconnect the grid from the home when the grid power goes out. One way to do that is do it in the bridge, which we have. The other way to do it is actually put an adapter, which is this white box here. That adapter has a relay similar to what the bridge has, and you remove the meter of the home. You snap in the adapter. It's a blade type disconnect, so it's very easy to snap in. And then you snap in the meter on top of that. And when you do that, you essentially make the disconnection point at the grid point. So this adapter is made by a company called Connect DER. Mm-hmm. They are a meter socket adapter company. They initially focused on solar meter socket adapters and now have moved on to Islander product, which is a storage, and then they also have EV offerings. Yeah. So we work with them because they have like an open source architecture that we can connect to. So we use their meter socket adapter, and then we have what we call the MSA controller, which is it's a tiny box here with a circuit breaker, which has all the processing and the grid sensing that we need to be able to give the same performance of seamless backup that we give to our homeowners with the bridge product. In PG&E territory in California, we'll be offering this product to installers who can choose if they want to install a Lunar bridge or install the combination of a Connect DER meter socket with a Lunar meter socket controller. And what they can, with this combination, they'll be able to avoid any and all load relocation. Now, this is especially a problem in California because I mentioned Californian homes have this unique configuration of a meter main electrical panel, which requires every load to be relocated if such a panel were to exist. So what this does is avoids that unnecessary load relocation and can save installers up to $3,000 to $4,000 and homeowners the headache of a long installation time. So this combination is an alternative to the Lunar Bridge. We believe there are lots of homes where the Lunar Bridge will be used. We believe there are lots of homes where the controller will be used with the meter socket adapter. This continues on the theme of Lunar being the most flexible and versatile product out there. We want installers to choose what kind of home, what do they want to use. The meter socket, again, is connected to the MSA controller by a simple cable that we provide. And then that's connected to the inverter by a low voltage cable. So it's a very simple installation. It should take less than 10 minutes for any installer to connect the combination of the two.
Now, if the installer chooses to go with the meter socket adapter approach, but let's say the homeowner still wants to take advantage of some of the smart load control, is that still possible?
Yes, that's a great question. And I think it is absolutely possible. When we designed the MSA controller, we have the Wi-Fi capabilities that it needs to talk to the smart breakers. So
Okay.
now all you need is at least 100 feet distance between the MSA controller and the sub panel or any panel that'll house the smart breakers. So you could put the smart breakers in the existing homes panel. You could put it in a sub panel next to the main panel. Or if you happen to control some of the loads that are interior in your house, you could do that too, as long as they're within 100 feet from the MSA controller. And we've done immense testing to make sure that that distance is the right distance, because we want to make, because as you know, every home, there are sub panels all over the places in homes, so we wanted to make sure we account for most cases of unique installation needs in that region. So
Sure. Well, again, for you installers out there, I think this is a solution that's going to allow you to significantly mitigate or eliminate the risk, right? If we don't have to modify inside the house wiring, why should we want to get our hands dirty with that? If the MID or if the transfer switch, let's just call it, if the transfer switching can be done at the meter base without you having to modify any internal house wiring, I think that's going to be the preferable way to do it. And of course, for you homeowners out there, it means less disruption, right? You're not going to have to cut up your drywall and pulling wires from this place to that. If we can do all that function here outside the house and then just install a smart breaker on 1 or 2 or 3 circuits that need to be intelligently controlled, but that can stay in your existing electrical panel, I just think, again, it leads to a much more streamlined, much more, frankly, profitable and quick installation.
exactly. I think you said it exactly right. Much more profitable, cost effective, simple, minimal invasion of changes in the home architecture, etc. So it is really the right way in my mind to do it. And there will be some customers who I think will choose to make every breaker smart, and they have the ability to do that too. So I can see a world where there might be homeowners who want to read every circuit through a breaker, and they can install that. But the optionality is what we like about it. Give the installer and the homeowner the choice, because that's what, it is their home, it is their life, it is their loads that they want to back up. So Lunar believes in giving the choice to the installer and the homeowner, as opposed to making a one-size product that fits all.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Kunal, so far we've spent a lot of time talking about the sort of the external hardware, right? What the hardware that the installer is going to have to install and manage and deal with. But so much of the user experience is actually going to be through your software, through your app. Once the system is properly designed, installed, and commissioned, a lot of the homeowner's experience is going to be controlling things through the app. So perhaps we can take a look at that in more detail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so now we're back sort of the inside the house portion of the showroom. Please kind of walk us through what is available on the app. What's the homeowner experience going to be like on the app? System's up and running, it's producing power, there's energy in the battery, we've got loads running within the house. What is the homeowner's experience like?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to show you a lot around our software experience, because I believe, Joe, that a lot of the products out there give a lot of information to consumers, but that information is not digestible in a meaningful, user-friendly way. And Lunar's focus has always been to make energy relatable to consumers. And we hope that we've done that through our app, which is a pretty decent design and also in very clear visuals and through language tells people what's happening in their home. So maybe I can give you a live demo. What you're looking
Sure.
at here, as I mentioned, is a bunch of loads representing a real home. So you have a heat pump dryer right there, which is actually on right now. You have a microwave. You have the electric oven here, and then you have the induction stove. Those are the 4 loads. So why don't we go around and turn them on, and then I will actually hand you the app, So while we turn the loads on, I'll go turn the loads on, and you should watch how the home power actually increases as we do that. So this has kicked on the induction stove.
Okay, I
You
see.
saw the jump in the
The
power
load
right
jumps
there.
up here,
I'm going to
microwave.
turn the microwave. That should see another jump right
Yep,
there.
it's almost 2 kilowatts now.
Yep.
2.5
Two and a
kilowatts.
half. And then this is going to be the big one where I'm going to turn the oven on. And then I think depending on where the oven is, it should also kick
Yep,
on.
now it's near
Yeah.
4 kilowatts total
So
load
this
here. Yep.
instant responsiveness is what we want the homeowners to actually experience. We have invested a lot in actual data engineering and data pipes to make sure every home has like rapid, 2-second data as opposed to 15 minutes data or 5 minutes data of many of the other product apps that they have. So this is a key feature of a product that on the home screen, a homeowner should be able to see where the power flows are going from solar to the battery to the home. And right now in this home, as you see, this is in a perfect self-consumption mode where the solar is producing 2.5 kilowatts, the storage is 0.2 kilowatts and is providing power to the home. This obviously changes as you tailor around the load. So if I turn the microwave on again, you'll see the battery draw more power because the solar is limited to whatever it can produce, and the rest comes from the battery.
Makes
And
sense.
every now and then you see a small blip on the grid, but that's just data processing. Our system's actually super responsive.
Right, and of course the reason that this is operating this way is because we were trying to avoid consuming from the utility because of incurring peak rates. Correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you hit it up exactly right, that this system is designed to operate in many modes. One mode is called a pure backup mode. So there are some homeowners who want to use the product just for backup. They never want to use it for anything else. They're the preppers. So you kind of want the backup mode for them. There's another mode called self-consumption mode where there are people who are very sort of renewable minded and they only want solar and battery to power their home as much as possible and minimize the grid import.
Right.
That's the self-consumption mode. And then we have we offer an intelligent mode called the Lunar AI mode, which we'll go a little bit deep into, which basically Lunar has an intelligent optimization engine, which looks at the weather patterns in the location, looks at the solar irradiance of that location, looks at the load consumption patterns of the home, and then more importantly, looks at the variable tariffs that are now coming hour by hour that they change, especially in all of California. So our AI software looks at all those parameters and on a daily basis optimizes the plan for the home to make sure the consumers save the most amount of money. That Lunar AI capability is really what differentiates us compared to the rest of the industry. And we really are investing a lot of effort into making that the most sort of the best optimization engine that saves the homeowners a lot of money. So a homeowner can choose backup, self-consumption, their own time of use, or Lunar AI. And we recommend to all homeowners that choose Lunar AI, let Lunar do the intelligent optimization behind it, because we do data and math really well. And then we will show the customer how much they saved compared to if they had the grid, if they had grid or solar and battery, or if they had grid and solar and battery with Lunar AI. So they can see for themselves how the product saves them over time.
Great. Yeah. I know as these utility rate schedules become more complex, and these, of course, we have these virtual power plant programs now that are becoming more popular and available here in places like Northern California. But I think having smart software to help the homeowner manage the complexity of all that becomes more and more important.
Yeah.
Now, I know for me, I still live on the East Coast, and a lot of the places on the East Coast, we still have a simple, flat residential rate. So a lot of the folks that are installing batteries where I live, they're doing it for emergency backup purposes. So I'm curious, what could a homeowner expect to see during a power outage? How does the system switch over, and what can we control in the app?
Yeah, that's actually great. Let's, exactly how you said, let's simulate a power outage. Right now, the solar and the battery are powering the home. As you can see, the loads are on. If you want, there's a breaker out there. Could I request you to walk over there and turn the
Okay.
breaker on? What you're essentially doing is disconnecting this whole showroom from the grid power. Before you do that, I would want you to notice how the appliances behave. So you want to keep your one hand at the breaker and see if any of the appliances turn off.
Okay.
Um,
Are
and
we killing both of them here?
just one of them.
The
should
top
be,
or the
I
bottom?
think anyone should be fine. The top is good.
All right.
Yeah, so 3, 2, 1. You could see
So there's a little flicker on the
there's
lights.
a slight flicker, depends on the type of LEDs you use, but the loads remained completely operational. And the app instantaneously shows you that, hey, your home is off grid. Your lunar system is now powering your home. You're consuming 2.5 kilowatts of power. Your battery is 89% charged, and your solar is producing around 2.5 kilowatts. And it shows clearly that the grid is not operational. And then most importantly, it kind of shows you your lunar system should power your home until, 11:30 p.m. And that changes with the amount of load that is being used in the house. So it's actually doing real-time calculations and predictions and telling you this is how long your system will last with solar and lunar. So as you can see, the load just dropped because the oven's doing the PID cycling. And as the load dropped, you can see this time actually being extended over time in real time.
Makes sense.
So that real-time visualization is what we provide to homeowners. And we provide a notification as soon as the outage happens because the homeowners don't even know that they lost power.
Great. Yeah, I mean, the clocks on the stove, the microwave, all of that stayed on. The dryer stayed within its cycle.
Yeah,
No reset.
yeah.
Great. And then when grid power comes back on,
So when grid power comes back on, you will see the app actually resumes its operation and continues doing whatever program it was doing before the outage. So if you were on self-consumption, it'll resume doing self-consumption. If you were on Lunar AI, it'll recover that. Both of those transitions, on-grid to off-grid, off-grid to on-grid, are seamless. The homeowner has no idea unless they're actually hearing it from their neighbors. Or if they actually are outside, the LED lights here change to blue in off-grid.
got it.
And
Okay.
they're white when they are on-grid. And this is a smooth pulsing sort of waveform, which is not confusing to homeowners. We only have simple lights. We don't want to confuse homeowners. We don't want to confuse installers. So white is on-grid, blue is off-grid, and red is something's wrong with the system. Those are the 3 lights that we offer. And the app will indicate if something's not working or something with the system.
Great. Great. Well, is there anything else that the homeowner should know about what's available, what kind of information or what kind of controls are available through the app?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we talked about how you can actually watch your home, predict how the lunar system can predict how much power is remaining from your system. How long can it power?
Sure.
So one way to extend that is to go around your home and turn off some of the loads, which I just did right now. So if you turn off some loads and if you turn off the oven right here, you can suddenly now see your loads completely drop.
And our running time increases.
Running time increases. So now this is a old school manual method. Imagine there's a PSPS event in California. It's a multi-day outage, and a homeowner and their family are living with the solar and lunar system, and they want to extend their outage duration. One way for them is to go around the home and turn off appliances and monitor this. Another intelligent way, as we discussed, is to automatically shed loads through smart breakers, as we just talked about a little ago. So if I can actually go and turn on some of the loads again to demonstrate the smart breaker functionality, you could actually go here. And then, so you go down here and so you can see this showroom right now has 2 smart breakers installed. One is the dryer, one is the dryer and one is the lights. So at this moment, both of them are, you can see there's 500 watts, or rather 50 watts in the dryer and 70 watts in the light. These are pretty efficient dryers.
Very high efficiency. The
Yeah,
heat pump dryers.
Heat pump dryers.
But for
exactly.
most homes with an electric dryer, it's going to be
It's going to
a
be at least
resistive heating
2
element.
to 4 kilowatts. Exactly right. So what you could do instead of actually, yeah, it kicks in. The resistive element does kick in. So you went up to 1.4 kilowatts. What you could do instead of actually running around the home and turning off loads is stay right here and turn this off, and you can see the breaker click.
I heard the breaker.
And the dryer turns off. You could do the same with the lights.
Yeah, or even if you're not home.
Even if you're not at home, you could actually do that. So that elegance of everything being controlled through one product is what we provide. And so I can go back and turn the light on, turn the dryer on. So that's the manual control through the smart breakers through the app.
That's great, and it's near real time. I mean, you can't necessarily see the screen here, but within about a second of hitting the button on the app, you can hear the relay click in here, and the loads are back on.
And this is because of the close software integration between Lunar and Eaton. The two teams have worked really hard to make this a seamless smart home-like experience. We didn't want this to be a 10, 20-second lag time. This needs to be as modern as any consumer appliance in people's homes. So that's why we're focused so hard on that. The other way to actually also manage the outage, to your point, sometimes homeowners are not at home and they want to set certain sequences of their certain breakers such that the system can automatically turn them off when certain situation arises. So what you can do here is say, hey, the dryer, I want it to be moved to the automatic control, which means that switch off when the state of charge is below this threshold.
Okay, so in this example, you have it set at 80% threshold. So
right.
if the battery were to fall below 80% during an outage,
The dryer will automatically turn itself off. During installation, you can also turn off, you can also put some breakers into an always off during grid outage. For example, many people don't want their EV charger.
Yep.
So you could put that in the always off category. Or you could, as a homeowner, change them and put them into automatic or manual control. So that flexibility is what we offer, and we believe that people will get a lot more comfortable with using solar and battery for extended power outages, which previously people have been like, well, can I manage my loads? Is it going to be enough? Well, now you can actually intelligently manage your loads and not have to worry about that 2 or 3 day extended outage. Or actually choose to live off-grid if you wanted to. There are lots of people who can do that too.
Sure. So Kunal, is there anything else that the audience should know about Lunar AI or what's available through the Lunar app?
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a lot of cool features in the app that I think we could probably go into a deep dive at a later time. But there's one feature that I think it's worth calling out is the ability for Lunar systems to participate in virtual power plants. As you alluded to, virtual power plants are becoming more and more common where across the country, either utilities are offering various programs where they're inviting homeowners to lend their battery to the grid in times when the grid is stressed. Now, it could either be a bilateral utility program or a California Energy Commission program, or a company could offer its own program. So there's many options for that. What Lunar has done is made it very simple for every homeowner who buys and owns the Lunar system to be able to enroll in the virtual power plant at the click of their fingertips and not only enroll them, but also monitor how their system performs in a virtual power plant program. More importantly, the grid is paying the homeowners for participating in the program. And Lunar ensures that most of the compensation that the program provides, we give most of it to the homeowner. That's number one. Number two, we are also making it simple that homeowners get paid through digital payment platforms. We don't want them to be receiving a check at the end of the year or get a credit on their utility bill, because that's not an exciting proposition. We want it to be like even better than credit card rewards. We want it to be like every month we give you a notification that, hey, this month you provided 30 kilowatt hours to the grid. Thank you for your contribution. For that, we're going to pay you $45 a month. I'm just giving you an example.
Okay.
But in a typical, there are some programs which are quite rich in the contribution that the program gives to the homeowners. There are some programs which are not as rich. There's a program in California today called DSGS. With a lunar system, a consumer can earn about $450 a year, which is not an insignificant amount, in addition to all the bill savings
the
they
electric
get,
bill, yeah.
all the electric bill savings, and the insurance for backup. So imagine a product that actually pays you money as you use it more is what we are designing. And I think you might say that a lot of people are doing virtual power plants. The uniqueness that Lunar offers is that through a click of a fingertip, you can enroll in any program, see how it does, and get paid every month.
And they can do all that through the app without having to do any paperwork with the power company?
That is exactly right. You nailed it. Our goal is to minimize the paperwork. We do a lot of the sort of enrollment flow through the app and make it super simple for homeowners to say, this is a product that actually does something for me with minimal effort from me, the homeowner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we're going to have more questions about that in the future and how that works. And again, folks, if you're not as familiar with what we're talking about with virtual power plants, basically, under certain circumstances, the grid might be experiencing heavy demand. And rather than having to fire up an auxiliary power plant, which is very expensive for the utility operator, instead, they would rather just draw a little bit of energy that's sitting there in batteries that are already connected to the electric grid. So with a virtual power plant program, you're essentially allowing the power company, under certain circumstances, to draw some of that reserve energy that's in your battery, and they'll compensate you for it. They'll compensate you usually at a premium rate versus what you would pay under normal conditions. So it helps the battery pay for itself faster. You said about $450
Per year.
per year.
For a particular program called DSGS in California.
Very cool.
Yeah. And as long as the program is alive, the homeowners can keep participating in that. It's a 5-month window from May till September. And the battery discharges about 4 times a month. If a homeowner wants, they can opt out of it. It's their control, their choice. But I recommend every homeowner to be a part of it because it's a nice way to get paid. Lunar makes sure that if there's any storm coming or any adverse events coming, that we can automatically opt out and make sure you charge your battery up. We'll also make sure that you don't adversely lose money on bill savings because you participate in the program. Lunar AI makes sure that it decides what is the most economical benefit for the homeowner. Is it use the battery for the program or use the battery for home bill savings? So that's why every Lunar AI, every VPP enrollment, you have to be enrolled in the Lunar AI system because we intelligently monitor. We don't ever want consumers to lose money. This is a chance to save the most amount of money. So.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, it really is exciting to see the technology reaching this level of maturity. As you touched on, there's different segments of the solar and storage community. I came from more of the emergency preparedness prepper side, so all the batteries was all about backup. It was never going to save you anything. It was just it was an insurance policy that was just sitting there waiting for a disaster. But now we're seeing all of the major system components come onto one software platform. We're seeing elegant solutions like the meter socket adapter, intelligent load control, so you don't have to sit there flipping breakers yourself during an outage. The software can control it for you to preserve and extend your battery life. And really, folks getting to this point where it's a realistic proposition now for you to be totally energy independent, at least at an individual household level, right? That you can become totally energy independent, self-consuming clean energy that you've harvested from solar panels that are on your roof, running your house on a battery during a blackout or during evening if you don't want to have to deal with the power company, and all of those systems sort of seamlessly working together.
Absolutely. I think this is a system that provides energy independence for all. And I think it's a very powerful product where homeowners can, generate their own energy, store it, consume it, and choose when to use it, choose to be part of the grid or not. We're giving a lot of choice to homeowners, and I like the most about that. So.
Yeah, me too.
Excellent.
Well, Kunal, thank you for spending more time chatting with us.
Thank you. My pleasure, Joe. Thank you for coming.
And folks, again, this has been a chat with Kunal Girotra, founder and CEO here at Lunar Energy. We've been looking at the Lunar Energy solar storage and energy management platform. But that pretty much does it for today's presentation. I thank you all for spending some more time on the Solar Surge channel. And as always, I'm Joe Ordia here, encouraging you to get prepared and be empowered. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.